Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we are tearing apart the numbers behind the narratives in a dive we're calling What Content Analytics Really Tells You About Revenue. Content marketing is just enormous. We're talking about a $400 billion industry globally.
It's huge.
But here's the really uncomfortable fact that goes with that number. Despite all that spending, something like 2/3 of organizations admit they really struggle to prove content's true return on investment.
They do. And there's a simple reason why.
Why is that?
Because they're stuck on metrics that just don't matter to the business.
Vanity metrics?
Exactly. It's the definition of a false positive. We've all been in that meeting, right? Celebrating a report that shows huge page views or a massive jump in social shares.
Or a high time on page. Everyone loves that one.
They feel fantastic, but they don't justify your budget. They don't get you a bigger team next year. The real measurement challenge is bridging that huge canyon between, say, a blog post being read and that reader eventually becoming, $50,000 of actual revenue.
So our mission today for you is to stop being a content accountant and start being a content economist. We want to build a framework that translates these content insights into language the CFO actually understands.
Pipeline, efficiency, ROI, that's the language.
And the reward for getting this right.
It's exponential. I mean, organizations that make this shift, they gain a huge competitive advantage. They move content from being just a cost center, an expense you have to a predictable, measurable revenue engine.
And that's what gets you the bigger budgets.
That's how you win.
Okay, let's unpack this. If we want to measure results, not effort, that means we need a complete reboot of our KPIs, our key performance indicators.
A total reboot.
So how do we structure them to capture the whole journey, not just that first click?
You need to adopt a 3-tier KPI hierarchy. And it has to mirror the customer journey from that very first impression all the way to the closed deal.
3 tiers, okay?
And you have to track all 3. If you only focus on one, you get tunnel vision.
So what's tier 1?
Tier 1 is engagement KPIs. This is basically how your audience interacts with the content. And you have to think beyond the raw page view.
Right.
Think about things like video completion rates. Did they watch 90% of your demo? Or for an email, what's the forward rate? That tells you they found it valuable enough to share with their team.
And that proved the content is actually relevant. It's hitting the mark.
Exactly. Then tier 2 is conversion KPIs.
Okay.
This tracks how your content moves someone deeper into the funnel. So we're talking lead generation, trial signups, downloading a high-value white paper that needs a form fill.
This is the handoff point to sales.
That's the handoff. And finally, tier 3, the most important one, is revenue KPIs.
The money.
The money. These connect content directly to the financials. We look at content-influenced pipeline, the ultimate content ROI. So how much revenue did we generate versus what we spent? And even how content impacts customer lifetime value. Do customers we get through content stick around longer? Do they spend more?
And it's really important to flag that those first 2 tiers, engagement and conversion, those are your leading indicators.
That's right.
They predict future success. They're what you optimize day to day.
And the revenue KPIs are your lagging indicators. They confirm the big strategic decisions you made 6 months ago were right. You need both. I mean, you can't fly a plane only looking out the back window.
Let's talk about 2 specific metrics that sort of bridge those conversion and revenue tiers. Content qualified, lead CQLs, and content ROI.
Great examples. A CQL is a lead that's generated because they interacted with a very specific piece of bottom-of-funnel content.
Like a pricing page or a case study.
A product guide, exactly.
Yeah.
The power there is that it tells the sales team this lead is educated, they're ready to talk specifics, it helps you focus your resources.
And content ROI.
That's the clearest measure of efficiency you can have. Revenue attributed to content divided by your total content investment. If you can show a 4-to-1 ROI, you've earned your budget for the next year. Simple as that.
But there's a catch, isn't there?
Oh, there's a huge catch. None of this works without absolute data hygiene and alignment across departments. I once worked with a client where the term MQL meant 5 different things across 3 different teams.
Wow.
It was complete chaos. That kind of metric drift where marketing and sales can't even agree on basic definitions, it will sink your entire measurement strategy.
That's a great point, and it brings us right to the technical side. So the first actionable step has to be enforcing strict UTM discipline.
Has to be.
We're talking about standardizing conventions like an unsourced blog, a medium organic, across every single campaign.
Yeah.
If the data is sloppy when you capture it, You're building your whole strategy on quicksand.
Precisely. And you have to define those KPIs with like surgical precision before you even start tracking.
What does that look like?
So defining a CQL doesn't just mean a form submission. It means a form submission from a specific tier of content measured over a set attribution window, say 60 days. And that definition has to be written down, shared, and reviewed every quarter.
Okay, shifting gears a bit. We've got clean data, we have clean definitions. But that only tells us that a conversion happened. It doesn't tell us why.
Exactly.
And this brings us to the thorny issue of attribution, which is really where budgets are won and lost.
That's absolutely right. I mean, think about a complex B2B journey. A prospect sees your article on LinkedIn. A month later, they download a white paper. Then they check out 3 case studies, and they finally convert 6 months after that very first touch.
Right.
If we just default to last touch attribution, that LinkedIn article that started the whole relationship gets 0 credit, which is just wrong.
So what are the options?
This is where attribution models come in. They're just the mechanism we use to assign revenue credit based on that influence during the journey. The model you choose directly impacts what kind of content you fund.
Let's spend a minute on the 6 main models, because they all tell a very different story, don't they?
A vastly different story.
Yeah.
So at the extremes, you've got first touch and last touch. First touch gives 100% of the credit to that first awareness piece. It's great for validating brand spend, but it ignores everything that happens after.
And last touch is the opposite.
The complete opposite. 100% credit to the final piece of content. Great for emphasizing closing material, but you miss the entire research phase.
Then you get the more democratic models.
Yeah, you have linear, which splits credit equally across all the touch points. It sounds fair.
Yeah.
But it often gives too much credit to low-impact stuff, like someone just glancing at your About Us page. And then there's time decay, which is pragmatic. It gives more weight to recent interactions, which works really well for shorter sales cycles.
And for B2B, you need something a bit more complex.
You do.
Yeah.
That's where position-based or U-shaped comes in. It typically assigns, say, 40% credit to the first touch, 40% to the last, and then spreads the last 20% across all the middle steps.
So it recognizes that finding the brand and making the final decision are the 2 most critical moments.
Exactly. And everything in between is supportive.
I hear you leaning toward position-based for complex sales, but what if a company's main goal for the year is just pure brand awareness? Wouldn't a first touch model make more sense then?
That's a really sharp question, and it shows why your model choice has to align with your business goals. In that case, running a first touch model alongside your main position-based model is a smart move.
So you run both.
You run both, but your primary revenue attribution should still credit the whole funnel. Otherwise, you risk investing only in awareness content that never actually closes a single deal.
Got it. And then there's the most sophisticated option.
Right, the data-driven models. These use machine learning, things like Markov chains or Shapley values.
Okay, hold on. Shapley values sounds pretty intense. Can you break that down for us?
Yeah, let's simplify it. Think of it this way. Data-driven attribution works by testing every single possible combination of content touchpoints to figure out which one statistically gets the credit.
So it's like running 1,000 mini experiments.
That's a great way to put it. It's running experiments in the background to see which piece of content, if you remove it, causes the biggest drop in the chance of converting. It's the closest you can get to objective truth.
But there's a big but here.
A huge but. Sophistication has to meet reality. These models need hundreds of monthly conversions to be stable.
So if you're a smaller company,
If you're a growing SaaS company with, say, 50 conversions a month on a long sales cycle, you'll get wildly inaccurate results. In that case, just stick to a position-based model with a realistic attribution window. Don't chase complexity your data can't support.
So to sum up the framework, audit your data, map your touch points, choose the model that fits your conversion volume, and standardize your tracking.
That's the playbook.
We've built the framework. We have a fair model. Now, how do we operationalize this? We have to get out of the spreadsheet nightmare and into actual strategic analysis.
Yes.
So let's talk about the tech stack that powers this whole machine.
Okay, the stack really has 3 layers. First is data capture. That's where all the raw events live. Your GA4, your CRM, like Salesforce.
And source.
The sources. The second layer is analysis and visualization. That's turning the raw numbers into charts with tools like Tableau or Looker. And the third is automation and orchestration, the data pipelines.
This is the heavy lifting, the ETL jobs.
Abstract, transform, load. This is where data gets pulled from all those sources. It gets cleaned up. That's the transform step that fixed the metric drift we talked about. And then it gets loaded into a single data warehouse.
And automation means this just happens every night.
Every night, error-free, so your dashboards are always current.
A critical piece of this, especially with all the privacy changes, is server-side tracking. Why is that so essential right now?
It's the difference between relying on a witness account and having a security camera. Server-side tracking captures events directly on your backend server, not on the user's browser.
So it bypasses ad blockers.
It bypasses ad blockers, privacy settings, the death of third-party cookies. It future-proofs your measurement against regulations like GDPR. And then CDPs, customer data platforms, they tie it all together, creating that single source of truth for each customer.
Okay, the data is clean and unified. We turn to dashboards. This is where strategy happens, and they have to tell a story, right?
They have to. You have to ask every stakeholder one question. What decision do you make, and which single number guides that choice?
That leads to totally different designs.
Completely. For the C-suite, they need a 5-tile snapshot, max.
What's on it?
Content influence pipeline, content ROI, organic growth rate, use really high contrast, red-green colors. They're making big resource decisions, not small fixes.
And the operations team's doing the daily work.
They need the total opposite. Detailed heat maps, cohort analysis, the ability to drill down. They need to figure out why engagement dropped, which means they need way more detail than the CEO ever wants to see.
And automation isn't just for cleaning data, it's for acting on it.
Exactly. Automated reports save time, but event-triggered alerts are where you get your speed. If your white paper download traffic drops 30% week over week, that instant alert lets the team respond before the CMO even sees the number.
But here's the crucial step. We have the data. How do we prioritize what to actually test next?
You need a framework. Something like IC impact, confidence, and effort. It's a scoring system that stops teams from chasing big, flashy projects that have low impact.
Can you give an example?
Sure. A simple subject line A/B test is probably high impact, high confidence, and very low effort. That should always take priority over, say, rebuilding 5 landing pages, which is high effort and has a really uncertain impact.
And you need rigor in the testing itself.
Non-negotiable. You have to define the hypothesis and the success metrics before you start the test. Never change the goal mid-test.
You need patience.
You need patience, and you need statistical power, 80% or higher. So many people call tests early. You need at least 2 full weeks to account for weekly behavior patterns.
So what does this all mean? It means you stop walking into meetings, leading with blog traffic numbers.
Yes.
And you start speaking the language of the boardroom.
That is the entire game.
Yeah.
You have to align your performance with executive priorities. The CEO cares about market share. So when you report on organic search visibility, you frame it as market share gains.
And the CFO focuses on cost efficiency.
Right. Don't show them total spend. Show them customer acquisition cost by channel. Show them how content brings in leads at a 45% lower cost than paid search. Now you're a strategic asset, not a cost.
And for the CRO, the Chief Revenue Officer,
Right.
it's all about pipeline.
It's predictability. So you show them sales cycle acceleration. Prove that leads who engage with your content close 10 days faster. Shortening the sales cycle by 10 days means a salesperson can take on 1 extra deal per quarter.
That directly connects content to the sales team's bottom line.
Directly.
But numbers alone don't always work. You need a narrative.
Narratives move boards, not just numbers. Use the what, so what, now what framework. It's concise and it's action-oriented.
How does it work?
What is the data point? Content-touched leads converted 25% faster. So what is the implication? This proves our new case study series is shortening the sales cycle.
And now what is the recommendation?
We recommend immediately translating these case studies and boosting them on social. It's a clear path from insight to action.
And keep the final presentation incredibly tight.
Incredibly. The executive summary should be 200 words max, and it should focus only on financial outcomes. Something like, content delivered $3.2 million in attributed pipeline this quarter, exceeding goals by 28% at a 45% lower cost per opportunity than paid ads.
And you finish with a forward-looking statement.
We project a $4 million pipeline contribution next quarter if we expand personalization. It shows the impact and proposes the next step.
We've really covered the entire analytics mastery roadmap today. It's a progression from defining the right KPIs to getting attribution right, automating the tech, running smart experiments, and finally proving that value to the C-suite.
And it all relies on a dependency chain. Accurate measurement needs clean data. Optimization needs reliable measurement. And getting executive buy-in requires proven results. If you skip that first data hygiene step, the whole thing falls apart.
Hmm.
So here's the final provocative thought for you to consider. Your content measurement journey never actually ends.
Why not?
Because customer behavior and technology are always evolving. To future-proof your strategy, you have to constantly ask yourself, do our attribution windows still line up with how long it actually takes a customer to buy? And do our KPIs still accurately predict business outcomes? The answer today might not be the answer in 6 months.
So here is your challenge. Take the frameworks we talked about today, audit one of your live content campaigns, maybe your most expensive one, and draft next quarter's optimization roadmap using that ICE framework. The goal is simple: to transform content from a speculative cost center into a predictable, measurable revenue engine. Go make some money.